So this morning I'm listening to my wife, who is a wise and glorious being, listen to a YouTube video by Joe Dispenza. And as usual, he's saying much that is important and insightful. But to the extent that I indulge resentment, I resent it. Because what he's really doing is regurgitating black wisdom in an intelligent way and presenting it as his own. So essentially, it's just another usurpation. Now, what he's saying is very useful, and we should make use of what's useful, regardless of the source. But the thing is that if our thinking is, well, yes, it may be black inspired, black sourced, but still it's so good. If our thinking is to emphasize that goodness and not to emphasize to be aware of it being a usurpation, another thievery, then we are part of the very problem that we implicitly mean to solve by learning the stuff that Joe Dispenza talks about, which is the mind, using the mind to heal, to transform reality alchemically. The primacy of the mind. We are a part of the problem if we emphasize in our thinking that this is really good stuff. You know, it may be that it's from black African wisdom, but it's really good. If that is the emphasis in our mind, we are part of the problem. Rather than if we emphasize, yes, it's good, but this is another raping of our heritage. Now, the reason that emphasizing the one over the other, that is to say, emphasizing in our thinking, in our hearts, in our attitudes that, well, you know, it's good. I mean, it may come from black people, but it's good. The reason that makes us part of the problem is because what we are doing, the very thing Joe Dispenza talks about, the mind, the power of the mind, thoughts, energy, what we are doing is creating more white admiration energy. So that is what we put on the scales by our just slavish admiration of these white regurgitators. You see, all admiration is not the same. If a person is a thief, and he's a really good thief, very successful, we admire that. Some. That's not the same as the admiration we might have for someone who is a compassionate, really helpful humanitarian. Different admirations, you see? And each one is an energy. So, what energy are we creating? We realize, or at least we say we realize, that we are engaged in spiritual warfare. And since spiritual warfare, reduced to its most essential part, nature, is a battle, a contest between energies. Any energy we put on one side of the scale or the other is a force in that war. So if we are creating white admiration energy, then we're acting against our own interests without even realizing.